How's it going, everyone? It is Only here. Welcome back to the video as always. So, it's May 5th. I figured why not do some E3 predictions. Let's start off with Sony's E3 predictions because we're about like a month away. I think I have a lot of the stuff on lock. I feel like it's pretty easy to read what they're going to do this year, but there always is like one or two major things that are kind of like surprises. But other than that, it's pretty easy to kind of call these kind of conferences, especially with Sony, because a lot of times with their conferences, if it's time to see something, usually it is time to see something, besides like some exceptions with like Last Guardian. But I'm going to predict it. Let's just go right into it and let's see how many of these things I can get right. So I think opening up their E3 conference this year will probably be Death Stranding. Now, Death Stranding has always been a game that's like near the end of their conference. They'd always show off like a new trailer or something, and then also at the Game Awards they always show something off. But I feel like now they're probably ready to show off some gameplay, and similar to how they did like God of War and stuff, I feel like they're going to open up with gameplay because I think it's such a major title that, you can't just throw random gameplay of Death Stranding like in the middle of the conference or near the end, especially when it's this big of a title. I think that's going to open up the show. It's going to be like a weird kind of like, what the hell is this? And you're actually going to see gameplay. Hopefully it will, blow us away, or at least get us convinced that this game's going to be already better than what we already think it's going to be, because I think there's a lot of excitement around this title in particular. So Death Stranding, hopefully looking good there. It's not a matter of when we're going to see this. It's more like when in this conference we're going to see it. It's definitely going to be here. We have to see gameplay for Death Stranding. We can't just get another trailer or just go another E3 without seeing this game. I think it's definitely due time, especially with like all those, talks about how this production's going pretty quickly now. So the game definitely, I think, is on track for 2019, so it only makes sense. I generally think their E3 conference this year will be better than last year for sure. I do think it won't be as good as like, E3 2016, but I definitely think it'll be like somewhere in the middle. But following that Death Stranding gameplay reveal, I do think we're going to see Ghost of Tsushima. We got a trailer back at PGW last year. I definitely think we're going to see this game because I don't think it's going to be coming out too far in the future. I definitely think this is also a 2019 title somewhere in there. Sucker Punch has been kind of busy on this game for the past, 5 years since Second Son, maybe like 4, yeah. And I definitely think by 2019 it'll definitely be ready to come out, and hopefully, this game will be looking good. Hopefully it will just, like Death Stranding, hopefully it looks promising. I think a lot of the conference depends on these big heavy hitters looking good because, we still do know a lot about, Sony's future. But yeah, as I said, I just think that this conference is pretty much going to live or die based on how these big heavy hitters look. I think it's all based on that. There are going to be a few surprises I have, predicting here, but besides that, I definitely do think it's all on like these big heavy hitters that are promised for 2019, and also just the ones coming out later this year. Speaking of games later this year, I think Spider-Man will probably get a final showing there. I think that's pretty obvious. I was kind of contemplating whether we're going to see this because, we've already seen it quite a bit, but then it kind of hit me, this is freaking Spider-Man. Of course we're going to see it. It ended the freaking conference last year. Obviously, this is like a big game for them. In terms of what they could show off, I don't really want to see anything more, but in terms of what they probably want to show off, since we got a trailer last year at PGW, I only imagine it's probably going to be like gameplay or something like that. Maybe showcasing something cool in the open world or something. I don't know. It's up to them to surprise us and keep this hype train rolling and keeping the excitement for this title. I mean, I guess you don't really need to do that. It's Spider-Man, but yeah, just show something promising off. Remind us it's coming out this September. I don't think you really need to remind us, but yeah, I think that's just that for Spider-Man. Dreams and Days Gone are also like those final games that we've seen for quite a bit of time that still need to kind of come out here. Dreams is definitely going to come out before Days Gone. I think Days Gone is pretty much confirmed for 2019 at this point. So Dreams, what can I say? Beta announcement I think is imminent. We've already been hearing grumbles about a beta coming this year. Unless they decide to announce this in a couple weeks before E3, which I don't see why they would. I definitely think that's going to be saved for E3. I imagine the beta will sometime be around the summer. I imagine that they want to get this in the hands around the summertime. It just makes sense. I think this game's probably going to be like a holiday title. We already got Spider-Man in September. I don't think they're going to, squeeze it before then. Obviously, October would be like a stupid way to release it. I definitely think it's going to probably be like a December, November, late November kind of game. Somewhere around that time period that Last Guardian released in. Kind of those games for the kids, I'm really looking forward to Dreams, based on all the crap I give it. I am generally looking forward to this game and seeing what Media Molecule's cooking up. Days Gone. I think it will probably get a new trailer, I imagine. Similar to what God of War got last year, probably like in early 2019. It sucks this game isn't making this year. I'm going to be honest. I feel like the same exact thing as last year. I was kind of burnt out on Dreams last year saying, oh, they got to show us something, we're not really excited for it. And literally a year has pretty much gone and we still are in the same situation. goddamn, Days Gone, you need to actually show something that's going to get us excited again, because, you know, I said it last year, and last year's demo was actually pretty exciting to me. I enjoyed what I saw, but it was more of the same, and they kind of hinted to more, you know, with the animals and stuff, which is pretty exciting if they can kind of deliver on that again, showcasing what's different about this game. But in general, I think we need to know more about who Deacon is, you know, and what he's going on with this whole, you know, game. Why is he doing the things that he's doing in particular? What's the story like in this game? You know, I think a lot of that stuff was kind of, you know, hinted and answered in last year's God of War segment at E3. I think we're going to get something similar with Days Gone this year. Alright, we've been talking about a lot of the games we know about. I think this is going to be the first kind of like major, you know, hitter. I guess you could say major hitter. I think Ready at Dawn will just make an appearance and announce their next game. I think it's going to be set in the Order universe, whether that's going to be like a prequel or a sequel to the Order. I think we generally get a trailer. I don't think we're going to see gameplay because, you know, we have too many games this year, you know, at E3 getting gameplay, and I think that, you know, while this game might be a 2019 title or something like that, I definitely think they're going to need to take their time to show why this game is going to be different and why it's going to be better than the Order 1886. And I think it should hopefully look promising given the time that they've had with this game. I generally think it is going to be like a sequel or prequel to the Order or something like that. You know, it's based on original new IP or something like that their job listings have stated. So obviously that kind of, you know, is in favor of an Order game. So Ready at Dawn, hopefully Sony gave them the green lit. I mean, I imagine since it's a third-person AAA game that Sony funded this, so that's going to be exciting to see. I'm generally looking forward to seeing what Ready at Dawn's cooking up, because I think this is going to be like one of the few new games that we're actually going to see this year at E3, so hopefully it's good. Capcom has had like a tendency, like breaking pretty much a new tradition here at Sony conferences for the past couple years, pretty much announcing a game and it's going to come out the following year in January. And I say announcing a new game, they're generally like returns of like big series. You know, we saw Resident Evil 7 back at E3 2016. We saw Capcom announce Monster Hunter World back at E3 2017. I think they're going to do the same thing this year, and it's going to be Devil May Cry 5. And of course, it will come out in January following the same, you know, kind of tradition. You know, we haven't heard really anything based on the Resident Evil 2 remake or Devil May Cry 5, but I still just have a gut feeling that Devil May Cry 5 is more likely, and I think that that's definitely a game that I'm looking forward to more personally as well, so hopefully Devil May Cry 5 makes an appearance. You know, of course I really want to see Resident Evil 2's remake as well, but just given, you know, what we know, I just have a gut feeling that Devil May Cry 5 is what they're going to be showing off. Alright, so I kind of want to make like a little quick segment in here talking about games I don't think will show up, and these are pretty much 3 little games as well as some other third-party stuff, so I don't think we're going to see Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That definitely seems like a Microsoft thing. Shadows Die Twice is one I was very iffy on. You know, I could definitely see this showing up at, you know, Sony's conference. We also don't really know what this game, you know, where it's going to be going towards. You know, it is probably going to be a new IP, not Bloodborne 2, so I imagine it's probably going to come to Xbox as well. You know, Dark Souls 3 was announced at Xbox, so I want to just say it's going to be at Microsoft's as well, but Shadows Die Twice, I'm on the edge, but I'm just going to say it's probably going to be at Xbox, just by like a slight margin. Like, I'm talking about 55-45. Honestly, very torn, but I'm just going to say that. I hinted this in my last video. Red Dead Redemption 2 obviously will not make an appearance. They just showed off a new trailer. You know, they're doing their news their own way. Rockstar never really appears at E3. And if we get anything, it's literally just going to be like a bundle announcement, since that game's going to be so huge. Of course, it's going to be bundled in the fall. So that's if they even do that. So yeah, I don't think that's really a big surprise there. If there is a new game, I definitely think this is like the most likely. You know, I say new game, but Rocksteady's game. All right. There's been some rumors. Obviously, the whole Suicide Squad was like a big rumor kind of thing that kind of got shut down a while ago. Now, like, the rumors tend to be around Superman. And there's been a recent rumor pretty much stating that they're going to announce the new Superman game that they're working on in the next couple weeks now, and then show more off at E3. So I definitely don't think Rocksteady's new game will be announced at E3. I definitely think this is kind of true, that it's going to be like a week or two before E3 and they announce this, if they do this year. You know, we've kind of been getting like the mocap kind of things and like hints that they've been completing milestones on Twitter and stuff. So I am generally really iffy on whether they show this game off, because it is going to be practically like a new IP for them, since it is going to be kind of like taking what they've done with the Batman series and kind of working on a completely different game. So it might take some time, but I definitely think this rumor has some legitimateness to it. I don't know why, I just think it generally can happen, so I'm gonna just say it's like a 50-50 thing. But if Rocksteady does announce their new Superman game, I can only imagine it's gonna be at Sony's conference with more, you know, info going there, because, you know, Rocksteady and Sony generally are really good, you know, partnerships, and we always see their games at E3 if they have a new game cooking up. Think of like the Batman series easily, and also their Batman VR as well. You know, VR will probably have a portion. I'm not even going to touch my predictions on that, because we don't really know what Sony's doing. We seem to have, like, you know, just generally a few announcements for VR at E3. I think it will generally be the same unless they decide to all of a sudden do a big push for VR. But yeah, hopefully what we see there is promising. You know, VR is still in its early stages, hopefully growing, and yeah, hopefully we can see some new games, kind of like what Blood and Truth was back at PGW. That looked really good, and hopefully more of the same with that this year. I do think there has to be probably like one more surprise reveal. You know, the thing about Sony's E3 conferences, they can't really show too much if they want to show more at the next couple of conferences here. You know, you can hope for like a big blowout at E3, but really that does sacrifice the other conferences. Think of E3 2016 and how that kind of ruined the past 2 years of conferences for Sony. You know, we got one major one with like a bunch of announcements, but we didn't really get anything after that that was too substantial besides maybe like The Last of Us. So, you know, it's give or take. They got to be smart with this stuff. So I'm going to say if they do decide to announce a new game, it will probably be from Japan Studio. I think there's been some rumors hinting towards, you know, Japan Studio's next game. So if I had to be a betting man, I'd probably say we're going to hear something about them because they always generally have like a bunch of studio projects they're working on. I think their last game was Knack 2 that they worked on. You know, whether they're working with Team Ico again, who knows? But yeah, I generally think Team Ico won't make an appearance. That's still their next game is going to be probably PS5. Of course, we always get those like games from, you know, Japan Studio like Gravity Rush and stuff. So maybe a game like that or something like that that we don't really see coming, just like a one-off kind of thing. I could definitely see that happening. You know, I think there's also been like a lot of like rumors hinting around like a JRPG from them as well. Other than that, I think it's, you know, typical to expect, you know, third-party announcements from like Ubisoft and stuff, you know, showing off more information on like the next Assassin's Creed game or, you know, Battlefield. I say this sparingly because I don't think there's gonna be a new Assassin's Creed this year, but you get what I'm pretty much saying. And I think that they're going to end the conference with Last of Us Part 2 gameplay. I think Last of Us obviously is the game that everybody's looking forward to the most with Death Stranding. Definitely has like the most, you know, kind of, you know, excitement around it. It's Naughty Dog. They generally, you know, close the show with Naughty Dog. The only reason they didn't do it last year is because you can't really close the show off with like a launch trailer for Lost Legacy. This is like the one game that is confirmed, so it's just a matter of predicting when it's going to be, you know, in the conference. You know, Neil already confirmed it's going to be this year, obviously, so yeah, man, I just think it's easy to predict that it's going to come out at the end of the conference, and hopefully it looks really good. This is the game I'm probably looking forward to the most just because, you know, Last of Us is one of my favorite games of all time. Generally, I think it's one of Naughty Dog's best games, and of course, Part 2 is going to be very exciting in 2019, man. If there's one thing to be looking forward to this conference, I think it's the big reveals of Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima, and Last of Us Part 2's gameplay. I think those big three games are going to be the kind of excitement around this year's conference because I think all three are kind of due for gameplay, and whether those games look good is kind of determine, you know, everybody's reaction out of this conference, and of course some of the surprises like DMC5, maybe Ready at Dawn's new game, and some, you know, small things like third parties and Rocksteady's new game possibly and stuff. But generally think, you know, you got to go in with realistic expectations. You can't get everything at one conference. Just because everything seems like it's ready to be announced doesn't mean it's ready to be announced, because we still got PSX for this year, and you got to space stuff out. So that's kind of what I'm looking at this year for Sony's E3 conference. You know, the major things that I'm looking forward to are just the big three games to get gameplay, Devil May Cry 5, and hopefully some, you know, Ready at Dawn goodness in there as well. So yeah, guys, of course, let me know your predictions in the comments down below. Generally excited for this year's E3 conference in general, more than I was in the past couple years here. And hopefully it's a good one. A lot of good conferences this year, and Sony's in particular looks pretty good as well. So yeah, make sure to leave your predictions in the comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you are new here and this is the first video you're seeing of mine. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care as always.